Hi, this is Subramani, Metro Editor, The Times of India, Chennai. Today we have Mr. Arun Ram, Resident Editor of The Times of India, Chennai. And in the middle of the Red Heart campaign in Tamil Nadu, he has written a beautiful article, and today's topic is Something Has Happened to EPS. And the article was penned by Mr. Arun Ram, and he is going to say more about that. Welcome, Arun.
Thank you, Mani.
What has happened to EPS, according to you?
I really don't know. I was a bit surprised because Edappadi Palaniswami, you can criticize him for his politics, probably some of his policies. But one thing I've never been able to criticize him is for his behavior, because he has always been a politician of some sense of maturity, very amiable, always smiling. So that has been the image which we have had. So I was a bit surprised when he made these attacks, bringing Karunanidhi into the scheme of things, which was totally uncalled for. For one, Karunanidhi is no more with us. So there is an ethical question about it, a moral question about somebody who is dead. The other one is, it doesn't make political sense. It doesn't give him any political mileage, I feel. So I really wonder why, who was the advisor behind that? And Edappadi, as much as I know of this person, he is not one that who will go by the advice of a strategist without thinking on his own. So yes, it was a bit surprising. And I feel it will kind of backfire. It has already started backfiring. Because see, once the difference between making a wisecrack and making a statement which is bordering on unethical or in a way moral vulgarity, these are two different things. Immediately you might get some applause.
He did.
Yeah, he did get, yeah. You make, even if you make an uncouth statement, there will be people clapping for you. But those are the people any which way who will vote for you. But for the thinking public, the undecided voter, such a statement might backfire, might kind of, take them away from you. That's what I think. So it doesn't make political sense for what EPS has done.
But if you see EPS campaign all these initial days, I mean, he was talking about dynastic politics, corruption, commission, center-state relations. He didn't get to engage with the listeners. So when he dragged in fact, he dragged in three generations, Karunanidhi, Stalin, and then went up to Udayanidhi Stalin.
Valid points. Nepotism, family rule, family
but he didn't
politics.
click with masses.
Yeah.
Only when he referred to all these people,
Yeah.
There was a lot of applause, and
No, actually,
he felt
yes.
being connected.
No, actually, Edappadi Palaniswami has a lot to speak about. There is clearly an anti-incumbency fact. I won't call it a wave, but then there is an anti-incumbency fact, which is quite normal. When a government is in power for 5 years, obviously people will have many things to complain against the government. So he should continue to work on that. There are corruption charges against several ministers, several ex-ministers. So these are valid points to make. Of course, the third generation is heading DMK now. So these are all very valid points. But just because you are not getting a good public response for those, it doesn't mean that it's not always the clapping. There are the political messages do seep in. People do think. This is not just a roadshow. Political roadshow is not just entertainment. It is also entertaining in a way, but it is much more than that. So you are sending a message. So you are projecting a personality of yourself. And Edappadi has been in public life for 5 decades or more.
But there was not much time. See, it was not like a test match when you actually settle and start scoring runs in ones and twos and then go for big shots.
But this is not.
It is like 2020. You didn't have time. You need to connect, make a point, move on, and
So this is not a sixer, so to say, to take that cricket analogy. In fact, it was a hit wicket, I would say. So, see, the thing is, and again, especially when you get into what he said was about Karunanidhi's last days. That's bordering on a family issue, about somebody's death, about mortality. His Karunanidhi's twilight years. So it's a very sensitive, very emotional thing, and you're talking about quite a big an icon in Tamil Nadu politics. Karunanidhi is much more than a politician, at least in many of the people's minds, people who are supporters of DMK, even otherwise. So I think that was a hate wicket. And if you look at the history, the political history of the country or internationally, whenever you attack somebody, when you sling mud at somebody, some of the mud sticks to you. Whether it hits the other person or not, you are going to have a lot of mud in
Maybe
your
there's
hand.
a calculated risk.
Could be,
Calculated
could be,
risk.
could be. So my reading is that it was not worth that kind of a risk. See, look at it. After emergency, for example, Indira Gandhi became a subject, an object of ridicule, and rightly so, for whatever she had done. But then when the attacks, the Janata's attack became so personal, she made a big comeback after a big loss, a closer loss in 1977, and 1980 she made a comeback. So look at Narendra Modi. Whenever he is attacked personally, he takes power from that. He emerges more powerful. So this has been the political history. EPS should have known all these things. So just to give you another example, is like the biggest loss in politics. I would say the biggest defeat would have been of Winston Churchill after he won the war, 1945. Here was a man who won the war for you, and Europe was regained from Hitler. And then he loses an election just because he made some Gestapo comments against Labour Party. So the history is full of examples of how not to talk during an election. And again, he brought in Edappadi Palaniswami brought in Kanimozhi into the narrative.
That may be a blunder.
Yeah, that again would have turned a large number of women against him. So it was. I think it was a political blunder.
Then what about others? See, Udayanidhi was constantly showing those photos of him prostrating before Sasikala and trying to, actually getting good response from the crowd. And how does he respond? How do you
I think
expect
these
him
are
to
two
respond?
different kinds of campaigns. Udayanidhi's, I wouldn't say it was crass. Maybe somebody with a different class may not do that. That's a different thing. But then I don't think that's entertaining without damaging. So this is something which happened. Like Shashikala said, why Thambi, why are you showing this? Because everybody knew, the world knew that he did it. So this is of course to make fun of him, but there is no, I don't know if it is as insulting in a very unethical way. So even when you
Below the
insult a
belt.
political, even when you insult a politician, your rival, it should have a bit of a class.
He was actually provoking EPS to get into this trap.
Yeah. And Udayanidhi has that kind of a very casual style of campaigning, whether you like it or not. So he held up that brick, if you remember, for the Ames campaign. So that's his style of campaigning. But I think these are two different things, not very comparable.
But then Edappadi is not alone, right? Vijay is calling Stalin uncle. Then Nam Tamilars, Seema took it to another level.
Yeah. Tamil Nadu has a history of vitriol and insulting style of campaigning. So it's nothing new. But then when it comes from a person of that stature, that is why I'm shocked about Edappadi Palaniswamy making it. Vijay is just learning the ropes. So he's used to, public applause, but then maybe he's still learning how much of this is going to seep in as a political message. So you want to play to the bigger galleries or you want to play to the 5.5-inch screen over social media. That's a decision Vijay has to make. So his campaigns are very effective, but then again, some of his choice of words or his modulation, there is nobody to say action cut here. So you have to be careful. He will learn the ropes, I'm sure. Again, personal attacks have been there. I'm not saying no. From DMK people also, many of the DMK campaigners have also been attacking Edappadi and others personally, which my feeling is that it won't take you long. It will just give you an immediate round of applause. That's about it. So, mind you, and EPS should know, Raja made that comment. Raja had said, actually Raja, what he said was, it was a political analogy. He was saying that, Stalin had gone through the process and he brought in that, quite unnecessarily, brought in the fact of it was a 9-month birth after 9 months, after a proper marriage. And then he said, Edappadi Palaniswamy, his upbringing and his birth. Political birth is what he meant. And immediately Edappadi turned it around and said, look, he has insulted my mother. And looking at you all mothers in front of me, I feel that I should bring it up. And he got great mileage. It's another factor that he got great mileage. And they wrote to EC, Raja was pulled up by Stalin. Raja apologized. So EPS was as a beneficiary of this kind of treatment, and now the same person doing it against his political rival, quite surprising, quite damaging for him.
And how do you judge DMK's response to this taunts from...
I think Stalin was quite dignified. And I think he took advantage of it. Much like how Palaniswami took advantage of Raja's comment, Stalin, brought in that emotional quotient into his thing. He said, Kalaignar was a lion and I am the lion's son. So actually, Palaniswamy was giving Stalin a stick to beat him with. And Stalin, I think he beat quite hard.
One more week to go. What do you expect?
I think people will be more mature in their campaigns. They will, because I'm sure that they are getting feedback on how it goes down, how well it goes down with people. And a large number of people have not yet decided on who to vote. And these are the little things which probably will pull those 2-3% of votes, which could well be a decider, because as it looks like it's going to the wires.
Thank you, Arun.
Thank you.
This interview was as racy as your column.
Thank you.